Okay, so I was asked to look at this game. This game was actually the opening in this game is called the piano or the uh, Giuoco piano, the Italian named opening, Giuoco piano. Let's see what happened. One thing that White might try to do if he's starting to get a little stagnant in his opening or a little bit bored is to just try something a little different. You know, I know that I've taught you guys how important it is to develop your pieces, and it is. But there are a lot of ways to develop your pieces. A lot. So I'm going to try and do a better job of teaching you different ways to develop your pieces. And everybody, once you get to a certain level, you hit a bit of a wall in terms of your development, and you need to find your own style a bit. And not everybody can just play the same opening forever. And there's nothing wrong with this opening. Pieces have been developed, but maybe that's part of hitting a bit of a wall and needing to change things up a bit, just change your move order or look up a different opening and study it a bit just to give yourself something different to try. Anyhow, this is the piano. This is just a very straightforward kind of opening. A4. A4 shows the intention of White to attack on the queen side. We'll see if he actually does it. Very straightforward opening. Both sides are identical to each other. Now still identical. Castles, castles, still identical. This move's okay. It's not the best move. Turn on the computer here for a moment. I think maybe bringing the knight up is a better move here. There's nothing wrong necessarily with bringing the bishop up, though. He retreats. You can take back. Computer says to take back and reduce. But the main idea is to develop a plan. So we're not just here to trade pieces. We're here to decide to find a weakness or to make an idea and decide we're going to attack or what it is we're going to do. So the rook supports the b file now. Both sides just look like each other up until now. I'm thinking that one side must have just made a blunder, although I can see that White is spending more time on his moves. Better just to take there. Better just to take the bishop on e5 because this looks a lot better. So let's just look at that for a second. This variation, this looks a lot better. His pawns are all messed up now. So instead what happened was this. This is still okay. But now this pawn on d5 is in trouble. It's got two pieces attacking it. White's going to have to figure out a way to defend it, and I don't think it's going to be possible. So it looks like Black could take that piece there now if he wanted to. And he does. So White goes down a pawn. Still a close game. And Black does the correct thing, which is if you're up, you can liquidate. And if the positions look identical, liquidate. Liquidate means trade pieces off. Just do the math. If you're up a pawn or you're up two pawns, subtract all the other pieces on the board, and all that's left is your advantage, your two pawns, and they're going to promote. So all of these moves are perfectly logical and good moves. what I'd like to see happen, so this isn't the best move here. Rook A1, that looks like a really kind of just couldn't decide what to do and just did anything kind of a move. And right there, I would have liked to see something like just something way more aggressive, something to challenge Black's position, something aggressive. And I'm always telling you guys to try and play aggressively if you can. Always try to play aggressively if you can. So, computer says C3, I say C4. Against a human and against one that's not that strong even. Although, it says that here that he's rated 1560. So, that's not a low rating. C4 is better than this because this doesn't do anything. Rook to A1 doesn't accomplish anything. It just moves a piece. He brings his queen down. I guess the idea of rook to A1 was to support moving pieces up that side of the board. But now White's lost another pawn. And Black doesn't look like he's making it. Look, a player who's 1500 or 1600, they're not going to make the most brilliant moves, and they're not going to be really aggressive. And they're not going to make big mistakes. So if you start dropping pawns against them, they'll win. Or if you start dropping pawns and going down a few pawns, you're going to have to start creating some aggressive ideas. You're going to have to start attacking them. You can't just sit back and wait for something to happen. This is just trading a piece here. There's no logic here, really, that I can see, aside from just saying, let's trade pieces. But now Black actually becomes the aggressive one. Even though he's winning, he says, I'm going to move my pieces forward. So now Black is totally in control here. He's up 2 pawns. His bishop is controlling that diagonal. The white queen is in the dominant position. And the knight is stuck right into the middle there and not being challenged. Grabs another pawn at this point. So White would have to come up with a big kind of spectacular attack. If it was me and I was playing White at this point, I would be thinking, I'm going to take the analysis button off here for a second. I would be thinking something along the lines of, look, I'll take this bishop with the idea of bringing my rook up. Bringing my rook up to E3, get my knight out of the way, bring this rook over to G3, and start attacking his king. Bring the knight up to H4 maybe, with the idea of bringing the knight over to F5. You have to start bringing some pieces towards his king. His king is just sitting over here totally relaxed without a care in the world while you're down pieces and down on time. Retreats. And this idea isn't going to work. It's just not going to work. And he finds the fork there. He's going to pick up another pawn. Eventually. That E3 pawn is going to fall just because it's too weak. It's got nothing protecting it. And the knight gets dropped. This wasn't the best game for White. So I'll probably just stop here. It's clear enough that White kind of, everything was fine. And he did resign here a couple moves later. But everything was fine, but sometimes just fine isn't good enough. You have to play with a little bit of aggression. Even if you're going to lose the game, or even if you kind of think, like, maybe I'll lose, play with some degree of aggression, or with the idea that you're going to attack your opponent's king, or that you're going to attack. Bring your pawns up. Bring your knight up into your opponent's territory. Give yourself some chances. When you bring your pieces up, especially your knight, a rook lift, the A pawn or the H pawn, you give yourself a chance to create an attack. But in this game, White just kind of sat back and waited. just kind of sat back and waited, and made a couple mistakes, and a couple mistakes and against a player who's 1600 and you'll lose. That's about all there is to it. And to reiterate, just to reiterate and to say it again, this person you're playing here is rated 1600. That's a high rating. I know you guys, my chess players, they don't think that's a high rating because they're used to me talking about grandmasters and all of this, but 1600 is a high rating. Okay? Anyhow, I'll stop there.